All right, welcome back to another edition of Scaling Secrets podcast. I am your host, Alex Mahaz, and today we have a true industry expert joining us. Somebody who has revolutionized the world of accounting and helped countless businesses and business owners achieve success. Please, everybody, give a warm welcome to Roger Knecht, the president of University Accounting Center. With over 20 years of experience and a proven track record of increasing revenue and improving profits, Roger is here to share his invaluable insights and strategy with us. Welcome to the show, Roger.
Alex, it's an honor. I appreciate the opportunity.
I'm really excited to dive into your story and really how you've been able to scale your career and your businesses. But your extensive experience in marketing, sales, HR, it's truly impressive. How are these, diverse skills really contributed to your overall success in helping businesses achieve their goals?
Well, just as it goes down the list, as you mentioned, marketing, sales, HR, each of them are components to a successful business. So oftentimes when it comes to HR, you're talking about culture. It's building a team where there's this commitment. Everybody's on the same page. They have a sense of purpose as to what they're involved in as it relates to the goals of the company. So there's something very important that a business leader brings to the table when they're trying to create that loyalty for the individuals that they're working with to feel like they're actually doing something that makes a difference. When it comes to marketing and sales, the easiest way to say it is nothing happens until you make a sale. You can be very good at what you do, whatever product or service you offer, but unless you have paying customers, it doesn't matter. And so a lot of us take pride in the fact that we have a great product, we have a great service, we're really excited about what it is we do. But if we can't figure out how to market it or sell it, it doesn't matter. We're not getting paid. And that's the be all end all of what the business is about. So we've definitely got to figure out our marketing. We've got to figure out our sales game. All of these skills are essential for success.
Yeah, obviously, you got to have cash flow generating in your business or you don't have a business. Simple as
That's
that.
right.
So, how is it, so important those early days when you're starting a company? Let's say you have an idea, you maybe have a co-founder, there's not a lot of logistics in place yet. Do you use that number one priority that you should really focus on as a business owner?
Well, the
Let's
first
say
things first.
first year.
Yeah, first things first is sales. You've just got to hustle. And that
Hmm.
hustle is just everything you can do from a job mentality to just get things done. And so, just to kind of give some perspective to what it is you just asked, the owner of a company, there's a lot of pride in the fact that you started the organization, that you've put the idea and you've kickstarted it. But the reality of the matter is you have a job. You're in a position where you're literally coming to the business every day, opening the doors. You do it. If you don't do it, it doesn't get done. You take off a day, you're sick, vacation, it's not happening. And so that first year is really a hustle. And so what we're trying to do is just recognize, yes, you are in fact the owner. You can hold your head high and introduce yourself as such. But at the end of the day, you have a job. And what we want to do is we want to get to a point where you're no longer in that hustle, to the point that you're now hiring some key employees. You've put in place some key processes, systems that allow you to automate what you're doing as it relates to marketing or taking on the client or product or service that you're providing. And as you're able to create standard operating procedures that literally anyone can do, it allows you to delegate. And through that delegation, you move from being in a job dealing with the day-to-day operations of the business into more of a lifestyle. That lifestyle is where you start to actually experience things that you couldn't experience if you had a job elsewhere. Meaning you could go do the same thing you're doing for your own business with someone else, but they couldn't pay you as much as you're being paid. You wouldn't have the freedoms and flexibilities that you have. You wouldn't have the autonomy to do as you want. So you start to really enjoy the business as the lifestyle starts to take effect. But that's not the culmination of it. Where we ultimately want to go is over the next few years is move towards an ownership. The ownership is more the visionary, that leader. It's that Shark Tank experience where you're running a business, but you're no longer involved in the day-to-day operations. You have key employees, key people that are following proven processes. The business is operating autonomously from you, and now you're that one that's basically the investor. And that's what we're ultimately striving for in the coming years as you run the organization.
Hmm. I love it. And it's like that saying, you don't want to work business, you want to work on the business. I think the industry that really speaks volume, and you want to create as many systems as you can, especially in the beginning days. You can eventually just automate and you have those processes in place. So, let's say you want to take a 3-month vacation. Most, CEOs probably wouldn't, but you can trust your team, you can trust the company. Nothing is going to be affected. Your bottom line is going to stay the way it is. So
That's
I
right.
love
And I'm
that.
going to share with you something regarding those processes real quick before we switch gears. There's
Mhm.
a 3-step process that I work with the clients that I service. And it's basically as you're building your business, you need to document what's working. It's not enough to have it in your head. You have to document it. As you document what it is you're experiencing that works, you're now able to duplicate it. And that's to say you can bring someone else in, you can tell them what to do, show them how to do it, and expect that if they follow that same process, they'll get similar results. If we can prove that through the documentation we can duplicate it, we can finally get to the point that we can delegate it. We can say, this is now your responsibility. You take it, you run with it, you improve it. And by doing so, we've now removed ourselves from that responsibility. So that first year, as you were mentioning, it's a lot of tried and proven, figuring it out, documenting it, delegating it. And we're in that process of trying to accomplish that because that's the goal at the end.
How is that? I want to elaborate more on that. How does that documentation look like? Like what do you recommend? Let's say, is it more like building out roadmaps for your teams, or how is that really, evolve throughout that process of documentation?
The way I like to look at it is I take my business and I apply what's called the universal business model. And it's basically everything's going to fall into one of 3 categories. It's either the marketing and sales, what we're doing to generate the revenue for the business. It's the accounting, it's the cash flow, it's the finance, it's everything related to what we're doing with regards to the capital in the organization. How do we function at an accounting level, and then production being, okay, we've got the sale, how do we now fulfill that and over deliver? Well, when I all the things I'm responsible for and put them into those 3 categories, I'm able to then prioritize what I need to be working on. And as it relates to documentation, I'm looking at workflows. I'm looking at basically if then statements. If this happens next. And I'm just trying to figure out, am I able to account for every situation? And if I can document, you do this form, you click this button, you fill out this sheet, you take it here, you do this next. If you can figure that out, it's then something that you can ultimately delegate. And it's through that delegation that you're going to be able to free up your time to go to the next project.
I love that. And then, and sometimes you have to plan for the worst case
Mhm.
scenario. What's going to happen with this implementation or innovation done? So, yeah,
Mhm.
completely agree. I want to switch gears just a little bit on, your leadership style. Obviously, growing teams is really important in any industry. How is your leadership style? How would you describe that? And, how has your vision for your companies, your career really evolved over the years?
Wow, definitely a lot of evolution, but I'll tell you what it is today, and I'm sure it'll evolve even more. But first and foremost, I had to get away from basically managing positions and really give people autonomy. So I do not micromanage. I give you very clear directions as to what's expected. I do this by identifying what I refer to as key metrics. There's one specific number every employee of my organization has and every department has that if you're achieving or doing that one thing, I'm happy and I can move on to the next thing. And related to each of those key metrics, I then have 3 to 5 supporting metrics that I can use to manage it. But in order to not micromanage, I'm going to presume if you're doing what I've hired you to do, I can move on to the next thing. And that could be addressing someone else that's struggling, or more importantly, I can actually create the next thing that I feel needs attention. But that right there, the trust that I'm giving to my organization, I feel is something that they appreciate. They believe that they were hired because of the skills, the talent, the experience they have, and I'm trusting that they can, with that information, do what's expected, and in the end, achieve that key objective. And so, if I can make that clear with my management, my departments, my key employees, at the end of the day, everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing. Associated with that, I give them purpose. Everyone hopefully should understand what part they're playing in the entire scheme of things as to how it relates to success. If everybody understands why they are integral to the success of the business, then they realize they can't let everyone else down. If I fail to do my job, it impacts other people. And when those people are impacted in a negative way, believe you me, I don't have to manage the situation. Everyone else is managing the situation because you let everyone else down. But at the same time, I can celebrate together with all of the successes. Hey, we're doing things well. Good job on your part. You exceeded what was expected. That helped me do my job easier. So all of a sudden, it's a team effort. And so those are some of the key elements that I use, but it all goes back to first and foremost that key metric. I think all too often we have individuals that have jobs, they work hard, they go home tired, but at the end of the day, they can't say what they did was what was expected of them. And that's why that key metric is so important. You either did it or you didn't do it.
Great. Everybody's got to go back and listen to that because I think, even in today's day and age, that micromanagement is just still such a big thing, especially just in a lot of corporations, even entrepreneurship, but just companies. Micromanagement piece is still there, and nobody likes to be managed, but they want to know their expectations. And I really love how you went into that, because it's so important too, especially kind of knowing the vision of your company. For any company, knowing where you're going, not just the how, but the why. Why are we doing this? Why are we, trying to accomplish this goal? It really puts perspective for all your employees. So.
Yeah, I would add to that two other things. One, it's creating a culture of accountability. That's what the key metric does. But at the same time, because I'm not micromanaging, I'm able to adapt to this real world that we all find ourselves in with so many remote workers. You
Yeah.
can't, with all the remote workers, really get involved with a lot of the day-to-day activities that they're involved in. But if you can be clear as to what's expected each and every day or each and every week from them, you can just trust that throughout the course of the day, they're going to figure out how to manage their own time to achieve that specific objective. And so that's very important. So if we're clear as to what's expected, they can then be autonomous as to how they go about doing it. And with today's remote work world, you can't micromanage. That's what this is all about. Long
Mhm.
gone are the days of I'm going to now on your computer install some software that's doing eye mapping and keyboard typing, and I know what you're doing. I don't care. I don't need to be this voyeur watching you do your job. I need to do my own job. So I've got
Mhm.
to just trust that it's abundantly clear what's expected of you, and you're going to do it. Now, I'm going to also add just one other facet to this. A key part of this is understanding what I consider three things that are essential for every employee to be successful: tools, training, and temperament. It's our job as the employer to provide the tools. It's not like you're a mechanic and you come to the position with your own toolbox. Oftentimes we have software applications and CRMs and so forth that the employees are working within to do their jobs, and the company provides that. Um, Long gone are the days where the company provides the cell phone or provides the laptop. We have our cell phones, we have our laptops, we all log in remotely, so we're all good to go. So the tools have got to be there. And then the next thing is the training, and this is where I feel a lot of companies really fall and fail down or fail their company employees. They fail them in the fact that we assume they know how to use the tools that they're using effectively. And I think more can be done about training, because we all could do better at the things we use. And then the last is temperament. I hate drama. You've got to have your crap together. You've got to have your life together. I don't want to hear about your garbage. It's not to say I'm insensitive, and it's not to say I'm not empathetic. What it is to say is you're hired for a reason. I'm expecting that to be done. And if all you're coming to the table with are excuses, this isn't working. So we all have life. Life happens, and sometimes there needs to be those exceptions. But at the end of the day, I've hired you to do a job, and I just want to know, is it getting done? And so
Mhm.
that's where it kind of all comes together.
Yep. Oh, I completely agree. Nobody loves drama, especially in the business world. We all got
Hmm.
our own issues as it is. So, but I love that. The three T's: tool, training, and temperament. And, I think training too, that's a big one. I work as a project manager, and I work with a lot of engineers, and we're getting so many different tools coming in every single week. And now with AI, there's a lot of innovation. So I think making sure everybody knows that they're maximizing the tool to its ability, and having those meetings with them one-on-one periodically, and just making sure that they're really understanding the tools that they have at their disposal. So I love it.
Yep.
But yeah, I want to switch gears. Let's talk a little bit of accounting. So obviously, Versatile Accounting Center provides a comprehensive training, certifications, coaching, support for accounting professionals. So can you just walk us through Universal business model and how it helps accountants build thriving businesses?
Yeah, so one of the things that we first of all recognize as a school is we have a lot of accounting professionals that were trained through college to work for much larger organizations. And when it comes to small business, what really matters is not GAAP, it's not offshore accounting. It's basically what can we do to actually help them get really real-time information that's accurate so that they can make informed business decisions as they're running their small companies. And so from CPAs, EAs, accounting professionals, bookkeepers, we're training individuals as to what it is they need to be offering as services to the small business community. So that's first and foremost. But as it comes down to it, all these accounting professionals, when they were getting their degrees and training, they oftentimes didn't get any training as it related to marketing, selling, pricing. And so we're really helping them understand that there is a turnkey business model that they can follow to start their business, market their services, really interact with business owners as peers and get them to more or less agree to the engagement and get that sale. And now you've got a client. Well, how do you onboard them, service them? And so there's a lot to be said about that. So here's where I'd like to go with your question. For the small business owner, many of which may be your audience, there's a lot of questions as to what am I really paying for? What is accounting? And when I talk to business owners, oftentimes they pay for accounting services, but they can't explain what it is they're honestly paying for and what they should be expecting from that experience. So what I try to do is in the accounting world and in the business world is try and bridge that and help that communication be a lot more clear, because ultimately there are three core services that every business should expect from their accounting professional, and every accounting professional should be offering one or more of those services. As long as that's being done, that business owner is going to have the information they need to intelligently run their business and be profitable. That's the key here, keeping our clients alive and having the positive cash flow and the profits that they deserve. So those three key elements are essential.
Hmm. Yeah, no, completely agree. And it's like, your books aren't good, then your company's in trouble. So you definitely you need that. And I love just the approach that you guys use, and it's very, very thorough. And obviously, you could check out your website, you'll see, the breakdown and everything. So it's awesome.
Uh,
But obviously, you're a host actually too, on your own podcast, Building the Premier Accounting Firm. So you've had the opportunity to, engage with some of the brightest minds in the accounting industry. So can you just share with us, some of those impactful discussions you've had, and, some of the insights that you've, gotten from accounting firms?
Happy to. And we've now crossed over 200 episodes. It's been more than 3 years coming. So it's been a great experience. And being the host, I've met some amazing individuals, definitely some movers and shakers within the accounting industry. But the things that really resonate with me are the stories of the individual accounting firm owners as they share with me their journeys. I've spoken to people that don't have backgrounds at all in accounting, and yet they found themselves, whether through training or some opportunity, actually starting and building bookkeeping, accounting, tax businesses. And they came out at it with a different mindset than a formally trained accounting professional. They came from a business point of view. And so they offer some phenomenal services. But just hearing their stories as it relates to coming up with this business idea and then running with it, amazing. Accounting professionals, they don't consider themselves oftentimes entrepreneurs. They're more risk adverse. And so
Yeah.
what happens is they find themselves now running an accounting business, and really they didn't see it within themselves, but now they're experiencing something that as an entrepreneur they can only experience. And it's the freedoms, the opportunities, it's the challenges that they're facing that turn them into the great people that they are. So at the end of the day, it's the stories. It's really the stories of these great people as they've started and built their own companies.
Hmm. Yeah, 100%. And I like how you said, yeah, sometimes they don't think of themselves as an entrepreneur, but I think,
Mhm.
all of us have some type of entrepreneurial skill in us, whether we think so or not. It's just kind of undiscovering that and figuring out what seat of the bus you're really on. So, but I love it. Obviously, if you're just, 20 plus years of just marketing, sales, operation experience, what were some of those obstacles early on that you've, or a particular, called obstacle that you shape you into your, position that you're at today?
Yeah, there is, and I'm sure it's something that a lot of your listeners will relate to, and it's the imposter syndrome. It's realizing, you know what, I can do this and I do have a voice, and what I say and do matters. And for a little while, it was a difficult thing for me. I happened to be the president of an accounting school, but I'm not an accountant by trade. My skills were actually that in communications and sales. And so I found myself in the organization working with accounting professionals, and then at one point being offered the position to be president of the company. And through all those experiences, there were instances where I didn't have the confidence initially that maybe I should have had. And so when you go through some of those doubts, the self doubts where you're questioning yourself, that can be self sabotaging. And when you don't have that confidence, you are really kind of emanating this emotion of I don't know what I'm doing, insecurity, and you need to actually be confident. And so, if anything, I'm going to add two things here. I found that when I'm successful, when the people I work with are successful, they have two characteristics. They're confident and they're competent. They're confident in the sense that they can actually look other business owners in their eyes and with a peer to peer interaction say, I can take care of your needs. And I don't care what the product or service is. I'm simply speaking to the confidence of, I can take care of your need. But the competence then comes into play in the sense that once that agreed sell takes place, that transaction then requires me to go back and deliver, over deliver on that product or service. And that's the competence to do so in a very quick and easy way that's profitable. I need to be efficient with what I'm doing. And so when I figured out that those two key traits are essential for my success, I now hold my head high. I speak with confidence. I bring that energy to the table, and people are drawn to that. It's contagious. And if you can be a leader where people see, hey, something's happening here, there's some energy here, I want to be a part of this, they'll be drawn to you. And that's what you want to do is repel any of that toxic energy, draw in all that positive energy, and as a leader, lead with confidence and competence.
Definitely, and especially in a team setting, that just really brings out the best in everybody, and that energy. It's vibrant. It bounces off of each other, and I love that. And I'm curious too, because obviously, confidence. That's something that is talked about a lot today, really just in business itself. But how have you grown your confidence skills, throughout your career? And is that something that, can be taught, or is it just like a muscle and you really have to just train it over and over again?
Oh, wonderful question. So here's how I'm going to answer it. And I was taught this and I've implemented it and I've proven it to be true. First and foremost, you need to find the associations or organizations that you can align yourself with that collaborate with what you're trying to do. So every profession typically has an association, an organization that you can participate in. You should attend those conferences, get engaged with your peers, and in that, kind of rise to the top. Participate, learn, and through that, you're going to, in your own profession, move up with your peers. Second, it's read books, listen to podcasts. I'm amazed. If you read 3 books on any topic, you will know more than 90% of the population. If you just basically take the time to learn not only what it is that you are passionate about, but also the differing opinions around that, different approaches, different thoughts, then you can actually speak to other points of view. You can actually say, oh, I understand where they're coming from, but I prefer this way. And when you can speak with an understanding of what your competition's doing and the alternative approaches and intelligently address how yours is different and better, then you're going to sound not like you're putting down anyone else. You just sound like an authority. And that expert appeal is very drawing. But the third thing that I would also add to it is you need to find yourself in a positive mindset. You need to be really kind of seeing yourself as like an energizer bunny. You got to recharge. You've got to stay on top of your game. You can't beat yourself up and draw all that energy out and then assume people can come to you and find that you're still excited. So whatever you need to do, vacations, trips, friendships, whatever you do to fill your bucket, you got to fill it so that you can always come to the table with your A game.
Hmm. Yep. And it's like personal development. If you can train your personal development, fitness, your mental health, all that ties into, like you said, your business, your career, and other people notice that too when you're not on your game. I think the right people will definitely let you know, and they'll encourage you to, have that outlet, whatever that is. Hopefully, it's a healthy one, and you take that, and you utilize that as much as you can so that you can ultimately build your team and your business. So, but curious too, obviously we're talking all about team building and everything, encouraging others around you. Can you discuss, you've maintained such performing teams, working with others, collaborating? Can we, just dive into that a little bit more?
So the team aspect goes back to that key element. I make it abundantly clear what my expectations are of those that I work with. So my management team, I meet with them on a weekly basis, one-on-one. And then the other week, I meet with them as a team, as a group. We get together and collaborate. So I'm meeting with my team every other week individually and every other week collectively. And I think that creates cohesive group. One, I'm able to meet with them one-on-one about specific needs that they have, address their situations, go deep. But the collaborative meeting is something that they feel as if they're part of something bigger than themselves, and they can see if I don't do well, how it's going to impact the others. And I try to incorporate that at the management level. But then that key metric as to what's that one thing that everybody needs to be delivering on, that's abundantly clear. Now, I say all that to say I don't feel that just at that business level it's enough. I like to know my people a little bit more personally, and so it's getting to know them, what makes them tick, what their families are like, and hopefully they can see that I'm interested in them as an individual. And if they can see that they're valued as a person, I believe they'll go a lot farther with the company simply because they're vested in the success of the business because it's now part of who they are. And so that's very important to me because I'd like to think I'm working with people that are committed. And so that's what I'm trying to create in the relationships that I'm building with them.
Exactly. And it's not as transactional that way. It's not like, okay, I'm going to work till 5 or 6 and I'm going to clock out, get my paycheck and be done. They're really a part of the long term growth of the company. And I love that.
Mhm.
I've had a few mentors that always invested their time into really learning about my family and my friends and, my interests. And I think a lot of that, hokey, you could think, but I think it really makes a huge difference. Especially when you're trying to scale a company and build teams. So love your
Yep.
perspective on that. In today's rapidly evolving business landscape, so many different tech tools, AI, everything. What do you believe, Roger, are the biggest challenges that young professionals face just in business, and how can they, stay ahead of the curve to, continuously delivering for their clients?
Well, great question. And I'm going to give you an answer that I don't think you're anticipating. And I'm hoping one that your listeners will really hear. A lot of people are scared by technology. They hear AI is going to replace us. You'll hear the World Economic Forum just came out saying 60% of the jobs of this, that, or the other are going to be replaced. And so a lot of us get insecure about what it is we're bringing to the business world and whether or not what we can do matters. And here's what I'm going to point out. Yes, the computers can help in maybe being more clear as to what needs to be done next, or here, summarize information so that it's more concise and it's more actionable. That's all wonderful. But what a lot of us face as human beings is procrastination. It's our inability to act. And what we do as human beings is we are able to motivate one another. So if you can surround yourself with key individuals professionally and personally that hold you accountable, if you can get a business coach, someone that you can kind of lean into that'll hold you accountable, you're more likely to accelerate the successes you're going to have, and actually in doing so experience more of them. And so what I want to do is encourage everyone that's listening to embrace technology and realize that it should simplify a lot of things, but it's not going to do anything. And what I mean by that is to simply say, you and I'm sure many of the people listening, there's that snooze button on the alarm. I'll get around to doing it later. There's this to-do list that I'll take care of, tomorrow. We all have things that we put off. But if we have somebody that's holding us accountable, we're more likely to get it done now. And so it accelerates the successes we're having through the accountability. So if you can actually align yourself with personal and professional friends, people that actually hold you to a higher bar, that make you accountable for what's happening, I'm more inclined to believe that those interactions are going to help us far more than the technologies around us.
Definitely. It's like, utilize the tool for its benefits. Don't look at the negatives. Don't look at the downfalls. Cause I truly think that, AI is, here to stay. And there are a lot of great benefits as long as, we can learn how to utilize it for our businesses, for our clients. I think too, even though we touched on this earlier, is in groups, join communities, so many different LinkedIn groups that you can join. I'm sure there's hundreds of thousands of accounting groups, and obviously with what you have going on as well. So just be around others in your industry that are, thinking like you, that are through the same challenges, and that's truly how you rapidly grow with all the different innovations. So.
Certainly. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why one of the things that we're very big on is we have an annual event. It's called GrowCon. It's for owners of bookkeeping, accounting, and tax businesses to come and meet basically with their peers, hear from their experts. And that's, I think, where a lot of people get reinvigorated to, okay, I'm going to go out and do things because obviously I'm needing to get out of my shell and grow. that's the personal interaction. The fact that you need to take 10,000 steps because your watch told you haven't taken 10,000 steps yet, it's a nice little reminder. But it's when somebody personally goes, so did you do the steps today? And it's like,
Yeah.
crap, no, I didn't. Okay, start
Yeah.
walking. Yeah, the tools out there, they exist, but at the end of the day, I think it's the human to human interactions that cause us to do better.
Just going back to, building those relationships as strong as you can, and nurturing them. So obviously you've helped a ton of different business owners throughout your career. And you've really helped them on their business. You've helped them, achieve tangible results, which is, really inspiring within any industry. Curious, like what drives your passion for this work and helping others? And, what advice would you give to inspiring entrepreneurs that are just starting out in their journey?
I've really bought into the idea that the small business community, the small business market is the backbone of the economy. And so I feel like this is my indirect way of helping the economy grow. I've helped so many business owners with their businesses, so many accounting professionals start and build their companies. It's just great to see all these things happen. I've been doing this for over 20 years to where I've not only seen people start their businesses, I've seen them sell their businesses. I've seen them change their lifestyles. I've seen them go from having a job to owning a company to getting a better house, put their kids through college. I've heard all of the stories, and all of them make it personable. So at the end of the day, it's just the great interactions that I have, building the relationships, the connections that I have. And really, it's a people business. At the end of the day, you think it's numbers, but it's people.
And how have you, really like nurtured the relationships that you've had throughout the years? Are you one person, like a mentor or a coach, maybe a family member that kind of really helped you to where you're at today?
Actually, there have been. I've actually been privileged to work with a few mentors, different phases in my career, different positions that I've had in companies. I worked with one years and years ago when I was in management training, and he was very, very influential in helping me understand numbers and what business is and how to run a business. Worked with a business coach. He was very, very helpful in just trying to push me, holding me accountable. He was very good at listening as to what I felt needed to be done, and then he would hold me accountable the next time we spoke as to, well, did you do it? Did you get it done? I'd said that it was important, but now he wants to know what came of it. And I had to make sure I got it done so I could report on it. So basically being that coach for other people, I've been a business coach for years now, helping my clients in the same capacity. So I think the easiest way to say it is I've tried to maintain personal relationships with certain individuals, and some of them require more interactions than others. But at the end of the day, I'd like to think that they all, at least consider me as a friend, and more importantly, would respond if I reached out.
Hmm. Definitely. And you never know when you're going to need somebody again.
Mhm.
And you never know when you could provide value to somebody else too. And I think it's the old saying, what goes around. And I strongly still believe in that. I think, the more value and, the more you can really bring the best out of somebody, whatever industry you're in, even if you don't have your own business and you're working, in a corporate office, that those little stacks of, positivity build up. So,
Certainly do. Certainly do.
definitely. Well, I want to go into rapid fire questions, and then I'll leave you some time to wrap up with any last remarks.
Happy to.
So let's start out with our first question. So, what do you feel are the key attributes of a successful entrepreneur?
I'm going to give you five. They, first of all, need to be passionate. No one else can be more passionate about your product or service than you, and your passion's contagious. If you're passionate, you'll draw the right employees and right customers. Second, you need to know the numbers. You have to trust the numbers. It helps remove emotion from the business. And so if you can know the numbers and run the business by the numbers, it can be profitable a lot quicker. The third would be quality. You've got to find quality. It doesn't mean you have to be a premier service, but you have to have oftentimes consistency in what you're delivering and some sense of quality in the sense of saying, this is what we offer, and your clients can expect that. This is what I'm paying for.
Mhm.
The fourth thing, I would definitely say it is the essence of time. You've got to find time for yourself. Can't say enough about being uh, focused on recharging, taking a vacation. I speak a lot of the fact that you need to really focus on vacations and reconnecting with friends and family. Those are the people that really ultimately matter. We don't work to live, and or excuse me, we don't live to work, we work to live. And so we want to keep that priority straight. But the last thing I would actually also want to draw attention to is you've got to actually have a purpose, and you've got to be able to give that to everyone else. What is that purpose that you're working on? And that just ties everything together with the passion, knowing the numbers, the quality of service, the passion, all those things, or purpose. Those things all kind of give you what you're looking for, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think, there's so many young, inspiring business owners that they're still trying to find their purpose. They might have a lot of skills that they've built up over the years in their toolbox, but they might not be passionate. There might not be that ticker that really gets them up in the morning, what they're doing. So I completely agree. I love that. The next question. So, what's something people think is important in business, but doesn't matter that much?
Good question. What's important in business but really doesn't matter? Because I work with so many people that are starting their business, they really fixate on things like the business name. They come up with excuses not to pull the trigger or launch because they don't feel it's done yet. Those are some of the things that I think really hold up people. It doesn't have to be perfect to start. You can actually perfect it along the way or after
Yeah.
the fact. And so there's something to be said for you don't have to have everything in place done to pull the trigger. Pull the trigger and just stay ahead of your customers, stay ahead of your clients, and you'll find that you can actually move a lot quicker that way.
Seen that too. They want to make your banner perfect, their logo, everything, all these little things. That doesn't necessarily drive cash flow day one. So I completely agree. Figure it out as you go.
Mhm.
Last one. What are the top 3 tips about business, accounting, life? Let's just say life that you want us to walk away with today and your audience.
So I'm going to probably get a little bit more personal on you. I don't think um, you can be successful in life unless you're grounded yourself with who you are and what you believe in, what your standards are. I think you need to hold true to your standards, be true to yourself, so that at the end of the day you don't have regrets. So uh, uh, I'm very pleased to work with people that are grounded, and so that's very important. And so with that, I'm going to put a quote out there that I was taught years ago, and I hear all the time in my own mind, and it's no success in business can compensate for failure in the home. We've got to realize that family and friends are important. And so don't neglect those people that are closest to you as you're building your business. They still matter. Sacrifices will be made as you run your business. Things have to give and will give. But at the same time, you don't want to neglect and take advantage of them. Second thing that I would say is live within your means. I think financial security is very important. I think debt can be overwhelming. It can be crushing. It's not to say that you don't want to take investments. It's not to say that you don't want to invest in the future. You don't want to invest in tools, machines, people. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying don't get ahead of yourself to where you become overwhelmed and paralyzed by the debt that you are incurring as you're running your business. It can be grown at a healthy pace. It doesn't have to be overwhelmingly in debt and you're just not able to sleep and you're trying to do anything. And then the last thing I would suggest is not to self medicate. There are a lot of stresses, there are a lot of um, challenges that you'll face along the way. There's a lot of depression, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of self medicating going on out there. And I would highly recommend that you work with a counselor, talk to a therapist, have a coach, work with someone. Don't bottle these things up in your mind and feel like you can handle it. And then at the end of the day, try self medicating. You really need to find ways that you can cope with this. And I'd even go so far as to the point of suicide conversations, suicide ideation, to believe that people would be better off if you just disappeared. All these things are extremely unhealthy. Contact the suicide hotline. I believe it's 988. If you call there, you can get free support. I think a lot of people, when running the business as they're starting, they just deal with a lot of stresses that no one else can understand, and they feel like they're in it alone. It's lonely at the top. It shouldn't be. We should be able to find people that we can collaborate with, a mentor, a therapist, a coach that can help us walk through the challenges that we're facing. And at the end of the day, celebrate your successes.
Oh yeah, you personally, You shared a lot of my story just in those last few minutes, and I think it's so important, like you said. Even if you've lived in the same spot your whole life. Me personally, I've relocated a few times, and it was hard to find other business owners and other people that were in my industry that I could really connect with and build. And there's times where I felt alone. I had a lot of other friends that felt alone in different parts of the country, and um, I think finding that community, finding it doesn't have to be entrepreneurs; it could be anybody that are making positive strides in their life and their career. Genuinely like being around them, because, like you said, it definitely it should be the journey that you enjoy. You shouldn't delay all gratification until you make it. Quote, make it. So
Yep.
I,
Yep.
I love that. Awesome. Well, I definitely a lot of notes here. I think our audience and your audience is definitely going to have to go back and listen to some great strategies you left. But is there anything, Roger, you want to touch on, emphasize a little bit more? We'll definitely your website and any other information in the chat box when we drop this. So.
Yeah, a few quick things. You can go to my website, universalaccounting.com. I've got in the navigation some free resources. The free resources, many of them are for accounting professionals, but there are a number that are actually for business owners in general. I would highly invite invite everyone to go there and see what free resources exist as you're running and working on your business. Some will resonate more than others, so take advantage of them and use those. I invite anyone that would like listen to the podcast. That's even though it's geared towards accounting professionals, it is business oriented, and so there's a lot of people that aren't accounting professionals that listen in and get some great tidbits. So I invite people to do that. For the accounting professionals, definitely join us for GrowCon, and always remember this: if it's about accounting, it's universal.
Love it. Universal accounting. And yep, I'll say right now, I went through a lot of those free resources before we hopped on. So definitely open up one of those ebooks, go through that, and give a listen to the podcast as well, because there's a lot of great stuff in there that I think anybody can implement into their business, into their lives. So awesome, Roger. Well, it was an honor having you. I'm really excited to see your growth this year and see all the awesome things that you have going on, and you continue to grow. And I'm really excited. Anybody that can make it to GrowCon this year, and love everything that you have going on.
Perfect. Well, Alex, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. We had a great conversation.
Likewise, awesome. Well, this is another episode of Skill and Secrets podcast. Until next time, thank you guys.